There are sounds you never forget, but some sounds they don't belong.
Help!
A sound that calls to you using a voice it stole just to lure you in. The 1980s were still an age of heavy steel engines, sleeper compartments, and long rural stretches where technology hadn't yet caught up. Some stories from those nights never made the newspapers, because who would believe them? I spent 22 years working on the railway lines, inspecting tracks at night, repairing what needed fixing, and making sure the midnight trains passed safely. Most people never realize how lonely those jobs are. There was one particular section of track I'll never forget, deep in the Scottish Highlands, early 1980s, long before CCTV or automated warning systems reached remote rural stations. Once a week, around 3 a.m., an express train thundered through, barely slowing at the small rural station. My job was to check 4 kilometers of track leading up to an old tunnel, signal the all clear, and wait alone until the train passed. Usually I arrived at midnight, walked the line with my torch, and finished inspection by 2 o'clock. But one night, things didn't go that way. As I walked, I felt something strange under my boots. A faint vibration in the rail. Not the usual distant hum of an approaching train, but sharp, metallic, like someone striking the track with an iron bar. That traveled up through the steel. No one was supposed to be out there. And after 2 decades on the job, I knew the difference between a train's echo and something else. The sound wasn't random. It came every few seconds, from somewhere up near the tunnel. I switched off my torch for a moment, stood still, and listened. The vibration kept coming. My first thought, maybe vandals. Someone tampering with the track. But at 3 in the morning, miles from any village, highly unlikely, I decided to walk toward the tunnel. The moon was thin, barely enough light to outline the rails. And then, there it was again. Louder now. When I reached the tunnel mouth, I raised my flashlight. The noise stopped. My instincts said, turn around, walk back to the station. But just as I pivoted, a child's voice called out, please help me. It froze me where I stood. A child, in this deserted place. At this hour. The voice came from inside the tunnel. Is someone in there? I shouted. Do you need help? At first, no response. Then again, soft, trembling, please, I'm stuck, help me. What if some poor kid really was trapped? I couldn't just leave. I stepped into the tunnel. About 50 yards in, I finally saw movement. A small figure standing still. When the light hit him, his eyes glowed, red like embers. And then he vanished. Who are you? I shouted. I asked the boy to call out to me. But instead of a child's voice, a deep, guttural growl rolled out of the darkness. It wasn't human. I didn't wait to investigate. I spun around and started running back when I heard the boy again. I was terrified, but I had to stop again, and asked if he needed help. It was something else. They said,
You need all the help you can get.
That's when I heard it again, the sound of metal hitting. I started running again. Only this time it wasn't distant. It was following me. Someone was chasing me along the track, smashing an iron rod against the rails with every stride. I didn't dare to look back. My boots pounded over the wooden sleepers between the steel rails. Whatever it was closing in. And I swear I felt it growing larger behind me, its footsteps heavier, its presence swelling as if the small figure I saw had turned into something towering. I broke into a full sprint, lungs burning, praying I'd make it back to the station. Finally, the noise began to fade. I risked a glance over my shoulder. In the distance, illuminated by moonlight, I saw it, that same childlike figure, iron rod in hand, slamming it down on the track. I reached the station, panting, terrified. I waited for the train to roar past, pretending everything was normal. Then packed my things and went straight home without a word. But I couldn't let it go. The next day, in broad daylight, I went back to the tunnel. Sunlight didn't reach inside. It was still dark and cold. And right where I'd heard the cries for help, I found a single child's shoe lying abandoned on the ground. I turned it in to the local police. They searched the area, questioned nearby villages. No missing child was reported. No footprints, no clues. Nothing. Even after all this time, when I hear the rails sing under a passing train, I remember that night. I still wonder who, or what, wanted me to walk deeper into that tunnel. You know that feeling when something is so deeply wrong that your brain refuses to accept it? You hear your name, but no one is there. One night, just past 11 p.m., I parked my bike near Eastleigh Railway Yard, waiting for my last pickup. Cold night. December wind cutting straight through my jacket. I just refreshed my delivery app when I noticed a man watching me from the far end of the platform stairs. He'd been standing there longer than felt normal. Eventually he walked over. "Mate, I need to get to the Sturton Yard on the railway line," he said. "Long way off. Nearly 40 minutes through unlit roads." I told him I couldn't go that far. Too late. Dangerous ride. But he kept insisting. At first, his voice was polite. Almost too polite, like he'd practiced the words. But as the road emptied and my questions piled up, that polite tone cracked into something raw, almost pleading. "There's no one else around. Just take me. I'll pay double." At first I refused again. But something about the way he stared at me. I don't know, maybe I just wanted to be done for the night. I agreed. He climbed onto the back of the bike, thanking me over and over in a soft, almost rehearsed voice, and I drove toward the far side of the yard, where the old freight lines curved into the hills. We drivers get used to strange rides. People desperate to get home. Night workers with odd schedules. At first, he talked a little. Said he used to work on the rails. Knew every signal box. Every maintenance shed. But the closer we got to the tunnel, the quieter he became. Around midnight, just a mile from the entrance, he suddenly pulled out his phone, called someone, and I could hear his tone change. Sharp. Urgent. "I'm 10 minutes away. Open the door. Make sure it's unlocked before I arrive." He said it twice, like he was angry or scared. I asked if everything was okay. He didn't answer. Just sat stiff behind me. When we reached a lonely siding near an overpass, the place he'd pointed out, there were no houses in sight, just a single brick building at the edge of the rail line, light spilling from one window. He told me to park right up front. Slipped 50 pounds into my jacket pocket, way more than the fare. "Thanks, mate. Careful on your way back." Things follow the tracks at night. Full sprint into the building, slammed the door behind him. The way he said it, like he knew something was waiting for me. When I finally turned the bike around to head back toward the main road, my engine roared loud. It barely moved. The wheels felt like something was holding them back. Like dragging a weight, I twisted the throttle. No acceleration. It was like invisible hands were clutching at the frame. At first I thought maybe I'd blown the clutch. I pulled over, checked everything. Chain fine, plug fine. But then I felt it. Warm breath right at my ear, even through my helmet. No one there. I tried again, riding faster. That's when I caught it. Movement in my right mirror. Under the pale moonlight gliding off the tracks, something running alongside me. Small, the size of a child, rolling low to the ground, but keeping up at 40 miles an hour. I started reciting every prayer I knew. The thing didn't fall behind. I kept riding, but it got weirder. 100 yards up, I saw lights. An old snack cart, the kind railway workers use, sitting by the trackside gate. I figured maybe someone was there. Maybe I wasn't alone. I slowed down. But when I got close, nobody. The cart was sitting alone. Lights on, kettle steaming, but no one was there. I passed it, and something made me glance back. The cart had turned. No joke, it was facing me now. Like someone had spun it around without making a sound. And then I heard it. My name. Clear as day. Elliot. "Hey, Elliot." A voice right behind me, though I was completely alone. I gunned the throttle. I didn't stop until I hit the main road, heart hammering, breath fogging up my visor. By the time I reached my neighborhood, My phone lit up with 3 new ride requests, all pinging from the same deserted stretch I'd just escaped. Like something wanted me to turn around. I switched off my phone and didn't take another job that night. I know this. There's something on those tracks that moves faster than you or your bike can. This happened years ago, back when we were college kids looking for cheap thrills, and we found one in the worst place imaginable, an abandoned train yard. We thought it was just our secret hangout spot. We were wrong. Very, very wrong. We lived only about 15 minutes away from this massive graveyard of trains. Hundreds of rusting locomotives and freight cars stretching deep into an overgrown industrial wasteland. By day it was almost beautiful, like a museum of vintage steel and faded paint. One night, just after midnight, 4 of us piled into Marcus's old Chevy. We packed a few beers, some cigarettes, and drove straight into the darkness. It was a dumb little ritual. Find an open freight car, build a little fire inside, and sit there joking and smoking until the cold didn't bite so hard. It was stupid fun. We found our usual freight car, slid the door open, and settled inside. The fire cracked, the beer hissed open, and for a while it was perfect. Then came a sound, sharp. Nobody else should have been there. You can't stumble into this place. It's too far off the main road. Even during the day it's deserted. Then I saw someone. 2 bare legs, and the faint outline of long hair swaying slightly in the wind. Just standing there, not moving. We whispered back and forth. But the legs didn't waver, pale. Unnaturally still. And a little too long for any normal human. One of my friends gestured to kill the fire. But Jason, hot-headed as always, had to open his mouth. "Hey, who are you? What do you want?" "Come out and show yourself!" he yelled into the night. The figure didn't step forward, but it shifted, just slightly, enough to know it hurt him. A second later, one of our empty beer cans, which we'd tossed outside, slammed against the wall of our freight car with brutal force. That was it. We bolted. As we tore through the maze of dead trains, I risked a glance back. The figure was following us now, long hair swinging as she moved. Not running, not even rushing, just striding. We ran harder, stumbling in the dark between rows of derelict trains, terrified that if any one of us tripped, we wouldn't get up again. We didn't stop until we slammed into Marcus's Chevy, peeled out of there. Our hearts pounded louder than the engine all the way home. For days, we couldn't stop talking about it, and being young and reckless, and stupid. We decided to go back. In daylight, the train yard looked almost peaceful under the sun, less threatening. Almost peaceful, like that night had been a bad dream. But as we wandered, we found something. A single freight car with its door slightly open. Unlike the others, which were rusted shut, this one looked lived in. Inside sat a wooden chair, perfectly upright in the center of the car. Beneath it, heavy chains. Not scattered, not discarded, placed. Like someone, or something, had been restrained there recently. We were just processing this when a new sound echoed across the yard. Not footsteps. Not breathing. A long, deliberate scrape of metal against metal. We didn't wait to find out what was making it. We left, fast, taking a different route to avoid crossing its path. The sound followed for a while, sliding from train to train, like it knew where we were going.
So, you're telling me someone, or something, was living out there, in that yard?
We never went back. I'm telling you, we never found out. And we're okay with that. Some places aren't abandoned. They're just waiting.